Hey guys, what's going on? Hayden here. I am here today to talk about the Switch. It has been out for 2 months now, a little bit more than that during this recording. And I thought it'd be good to just go over my general thoughts, but I am not alone. I am joined by my friend, Big Cat from Pixel Entertainment. Go ahead and say hi.
What's up, guys?
It's
been forever since I've actually made a video, too.
Well, it's awesome to have you on, dude. This is also a friend of mine who helped me with my logo, the icon that I have for my YouTube layout. So that's really awesome. Yeah, and I thought it'd be fun just to talk about the Switch because we've both been playing the Switch a ton over the past 2 months, and I thought it'd just be good to get together with someone and talk about our general thoughts. So what are your just overall thoughts of the Switch right now?
It's nice, but I would wait until they actually put it in stock. Me and my cousin actually waited out front of a Target since, oh god, it was like at 2 a.m. or something like that. We didn't even sleep that entire night. We waited outside for at least 5.5 hours just to get ours, and it was insane.
Wow. I guess I had a similar story where I didn't actually pre-order mine because I slept in when the pre-order started. But I actually I went to Walmart at about 4 a.m. the day it came out. I lined up and I managed to get one. So yeah, but I think the Switch is good. I definitely think that it is. Well, it's certainly better than the Wii U, both like sales-wise and just hardware-wise. It's very small, it's very compact, it's easy to use, it's easy to understand, and it's got an ever-growing library of solid games so far. And I think Nintendo has really hit something here with the Switch. And I'm really excited to see where it goes.
It just continues to blow my mind that I have an entire console that I can put in my pocket. Like, quite literally in my pocket. I take it to work and I play it on my breaks, and that's how I've been playing Legend of Zelda lately.
Nice. I actually haven't been using it that much as a portable console. My job doesn't really allow for me to actually play it during work. I'm very much involved and hands-on with stuff. But I have been using it a ton at home. Like, I think on Breath of the Wild alone, my play log says like 180 hours, and that's just Breath of the Wild. I've got Mario Kart and these indie games, and I am really liking the Switch. It's not perfect, and we'll get into that in a bit, but I am very impressed with the Switch so far. So I guess let's kind of get into the games. What do you think just so far of the games that are on the Switch?
Well, when I picked it up, the launch titles at the time were 1-2 Switch, Breath of the Wild, and Bomberman or something. Yeah, Bomberman, that's what it was. I had picked up Legend of Zelda and Bomberman thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be playing Bomberman more, and I am literally 100 hours into Breath of the Wild now, and I still have yet to beat it. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get all the shrines and everything. And I'm at I think I'm at like close to it, about halfway over. I can't remember what I'm at the moment.
Okay, I guess I'll just be careful in what I say about Breath of the Wild then, because I have beaten it, and Breath of the Wild I think was the most close to perfect, if not the perfect launch game for that system. I mean, it's very much a game that embraces what the Switch is. If you want to play it for hours on end in front of your TV, that's fine. If you want to pick it up on the go 10 minutes while you're on the bus or whatever, that's fine. You can still accomplish stuff in just that 10-minute window. And God, like Breath of the Wild, I think like I could gush on about it forever and forever. But if we do, then we'll lose track of where we're going. So I think Breath of the Wild was a great launch title, but I also think that the smaller supporting launch titles were really great. I mean, Bomberman was this. It's the first Bomberman we've had in a long time, let alone a Bomberman that's not gritty and mature and whatnot like that stupid Xbox one was. It's it goes back to the classic Bomberman. Then we got Spectre of Torment first on the Switch. That was a huge selling point. If you wanted to play Spectre of Torment first, you got to get a Switch. Snipper Clips, like a co-op game, Fast RMX, a racing game. I thought the Switch launched brilliantly.
I just wish that there was like a little bit more games on it, but Shovel Knight alone is probably one of my favorite titles. I've bought it like 2 or 3 times. And I have it on my PS4, my 3DS, my girlfriend's Wii U, and now my Switch. And it's probably one of the best games that I've played in a long time. Right next to Legend of Zelda, of course.
I completely agree. Like, Shovel Knight, like the whole treasure trove is just an absolute steal with how much value is in that package. And the fact that we got it at launch on Switch, I think that was a huge deal. That was, for the longest time, and arguably still the longest time, I don't know. I think it was the second best game on the Switch, of course, next to Zelda.
Oh, definitely.
And I really like how Nintendo really just didn't stop with their launch. You know, there's been a really good, steady stream, I would say, of games. You know, we've got lots of indies coming out, Blaster Master Zero, Snake Pass, and Wonder Boy, just to name a few of them. And then we just got Mario Kart, of course, a little while ago. So I think Nintendo has done a decent job pacing their games. I did feel a bit of a lull between Zelda and Breath of the Wild. Sorry, Zelda and Mario Kart.
Oh yeah, like
a
couple months difference or something like that.
Yeah, it was almost 2 months difference, and I don't think that's going to matter in the long run because Nintendo does have a lot of other big first-party games coming out this year. But I think having those indies there to really support them while the third parties are not supporting them, at least yet, I think that's really good.
Oh, it's probably one of the best things about the system. A huge pet peeve of mine with the Wii U is that there was no third-party support, or there was, but when we saw it, it was like, I think one of the first games that I actually played on the Wii U was probably like one of the Rabbids games or Just Dance or something like that. And I was expecting more of like, I'm not even sure what some of the third-party devs even made for the Wii U, to be honest.
There really wasn't much. Like I think we got like Batman Arkham Knight or something at the beginning.
That's actually kind of surprising.
I think it's just because like I'm not very big on the Batman series, but I think it came out on Xbox 360 and PS3 before that, and because Nintendo had so much momentum off the Wii, people thought, oh yeah, the Wii U will be good, so let's port all of our games onto the Wii U. And then they realized after a few months, oh, this system is selling like garbage.
Oh yeah, if only it sold better. We probably would have gotten better games. I mean, of course, the first-party games were the bread and butter of the system, like Smash Brothers. I really want to go and pick up a Wii U just to play that, and to mod it, of course.
Yeah. No, and I guess that's kind of a good launching off point, because another thing that I am really pumped about with the Switch is how well it's selling. Like, I just read a thing on Twitter yesterday saying like 2.7 million sales worldwide already, and I think that was a fairly old statistic. Like Nintendo wanted to meet 2 million by the end of March, and I think that was a pretty easy goal to meet just based on hardcore Nintendo fans alone. I think that 2.7 million could be way higher if Nintendo was better at keeping stock, because like every time I've stopped in at my local EB Games, which for you Americans is basically GameStop in Canada, and Walmart. Whenever I've stopped in there, I think I have only seen, besides like the day when I went to buy my Switch, I have only seen one Switch in the wild.
I've seen probably 2 at GameStop, and that's about it. I've seen the bundles, of course, but a lot of people don't want to pick up the bundles. They just want to get their console and then get Mario Kart 8, which they do have a Mario Kart 8 bundle now, but back when I actually saw these ones, it was a Breath of the Wild bundle, and a lot of people didn't want to pick that one up for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I can see a certain demographic not wanting to get that bundle, only because Zelda is very much aimed at gamers and not like casual enthusiasts. So I can see that, but I mean, we can't deny that the Switch has sold like the Bible. Oh my god. Yeah. Like, it is just completely blowing out the Wii U sales, like outpacing it's actually outpacing the Wii right now in terms of sales. And the thing that's amazing about that is that the Switch launched in March, like this weird random time of year, where the Wii launched in the holiday season of 2006. It was in November. And the fact that the Switch is outpacing the Wii, that's really impressive. Like, kudos to Nintendo.
And usually around March is the time when a lot of games don't really even come out, so that's probably one of the best times to release it, because Nintendo really struck the market by releasing it that early rather than out toward like November. It probably would have done good there, but there would be like way less Switches to actually buy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Getting Zelda out there now, getting the Switch out there now, it's definitely worked in their favor. Now, like we mentioned before, the Switch is not perfect, and there are some, I guess some quality of life nitpicky things that I would like to see better. I love the system, but one thing I am still kind of baffled at is that this system only has 32 gigabytes of memory. Only about like 26 counting like the stuff that's already installed.
Well, it's kind of nice that they allow you to actually put in an SD card, because they do make them up to 128 gigabytes, but it should have launched with at least maybe like 60 gigs.
Yeah,
Maybe like something higher than 32 at the latest, because I don't think the games really even take up that much data, but over time it's definitely going to chew through all that's on there.
yeah, no, I completely agree, and it is nice that you can get the SD card. Of course, that's just another thing that you have to, budget into your Switch purchase. I haven't bought one yet. I will definitely buy one eventually. But the thing that worries me is that, like, this is going to sound like a kind of a silly complaint, but if Nintendo really does just hit it out of the park with the Switch throughout its lifespan with all these huge games, what if an SD card runs out of space? Do you really want to be managing SD cards like with different games on them? That's a little bit worrisome to me.
Oh, and you can't even transfer the games between console to console either.
Right? Like, that is something, like, it's 2017, and that is definitely something that you should be, like, at least have a cloud storage. There should at least be some, like, online way to save your game data.
I mean, there's of course things that they could have launched with, like a way to communicate with your friends. Of course, I know that they're making an app for that, but to be honest, it should have launched with it, because we could all be playing Mario Kart 8 together, and then we can actually talk, and it's going to be like through the smartphones or something like that. I remember them talking about it, but I don't remember too much about it.
Yeah, that is something. I was actually going to bring that up as one of my one of the things I'm looking forward to, but I guess we can talk about it now. Is that, like, yeah, what is going on with Nintendo and their online? Because it's free right now, but we're going to have to pay for it eventually. But we're going to be able to use voice chat through a mobile app. Like, it just seems like a very quirky Nintendo thing to do. And I guess the thing that I'm worried about with that as well is if you're using a smartphone app, like, what if your phone dies when you're playing? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, the people could just keep it on the charger, but if your phone dies while you're talking, then you're pretty much screwed at that point.
And, like, yeah, you're right. Like, and the thing that's, like, I'm kind of thinking is, like, I've already got enough cords in my setup with my Switch plugged in, my Wii U, my TV, my computer, all that stuff. Like, having to have another plug-in for my phone in that jumble, like, I don't know. We don't know, granted, we don't know much about this online thing, what their online plans are at all, but it is something that Nintendo really does have to prove themselves with, especially because they're online right now, based on what I've played with. Mario Kart's working pretty well, but I picked up Bomberman the other day, and I was trying some online matches. I swear to God, I think I maybe finished 2 matches. Like, the rest of them just either kicked me out, or they lagged so badly, and I guess that is dependent on your connection, I've heard.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Nintendo really does have something to prove with the online. If they're going to make us pay for it, it needs to be substantially better than the experience was on the Wii U and what it currently is on the Switch.
Does the Wii U have a port to plug in an Ethernet cable?
It does, but like, you can get what was it? You can get Sakurai even recommended it if you're going to play Smash Brothers online. There is a plugin that you can get for the Wii U to play a hard connection online, but I've never seen one in stores. Like, I don't know about you, I've never seen one of those in stores. Like, I don't think they made.
I've never even heard of that for the Wii U. I know that there's one for the Switch where you can plug it into the USB port, but to be honest, I think it should have launched with it, like, built into the dock. Because I don't know about you, but I hardly ever play on Wi-Fi anymore. I've been trying to keep it towards LAN cables, because then I don't ever lag.
Now, see, that's actually a good point, because I haven't been using a cable for my online gaming. I've been using Wi-Fi, and again, I've mostly been playing Mario Kart online, which for me it was fine. And on the Wii U, granted, there were some games that worked well. Splatoon, perfect example. That game, I always used a wireless connection, and I, like, 99% of the time, had no problems. So maybe it's going to be game to game, but I'm more concerned about games like, whenever Smash Brothers ends up coming to the Switch. That game lags like it's its damn job on the Wii U. It is really frustrating to deal with the lag in that game. So I think it just comes back to the point that Nintendo's online, based on what we know, which is basically nothing, I'm a little worried, but maybe they'll prove themselves.
I'm hoping that they prove themselves too, because they got tons of stuff to go up against, like Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. I mean, it's nice that we're not paying so much for it. That's probably one of the biggest things toward them. Like, oh, here, we're giving you a service, but it's only going to cost a fraction of what PlayStation Plus and what Xbox Live cost you. And we're still going to give you free games. Of course, they're limited, but it's kind of nice that you're getting, like, bang for your buck, basically.
Yeah, and that is the part that does kind of sound reassuring to me, is the fact that you're going to supposedly get the option to download a game for a month for free, a virtual console like an NES or SNES title. You'll have it for, like, 30 days. And then you have the option at the end of the month to actually buy the game if you want. Now, I guess that kind of gets into my next thing that I'm excited and worried about is the Virtual Console service. Now, this, of course, ties into the whole online thing, but the Virtual Console on the Wii U, there's no way around it. It was crap. It was really bad. Like, the fact that it took, like, a year to get A Link to the Past on the Wii U, like, A Link to the Past. That is, like, that's my favorite Zelda game. One of the most iconic ones, and it took them a year to get it on their Virtual Console. I think that's crazy. Now, what I would hope they do with the Virtual Console is not actually trickle out, like, every single game throughout its lifespan. You know, launch with, I don't know, a bunch of games. Like, launch with, like, the iconic ones, like Super Mario Brothers, like Link to the Past, Donkey Kong Country. Launch with the big ones, the ones that everyone knows, the ones that everyone has downloaded at least 2 or 3 times, and then start trickling out some of the stuff that we maybe haven't seen before, like maybe GameCube games. Hey, maybe even some Sega games, like from Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, like maybe
that would be amazing.
I think that would be awesome, and I think we did actually get some like Sonic games like on the Wii Virtual Console. Like, I would love if they got their poop together and actually made the Virtual Console worthwhile.
Well, like you were saying, with it launching with all those nice games, it would be perfect, because those are all games that everybody would know. And of course, I'm gonna guess and say like at least 60% of all the Nintendo Switch consoles would probably download, if not all of those games.
Like, I would love to be able to have A Link to the Past on the go. And no, I'm not talking about the Game Boy Advance version. That is an inferior version. The Super Nintendo version is the one that I want to be able to play on the go. I don't care if I bought it 2 or 3 times. I will happily buy it again on the Switch.
Oh, I bought it on the 3DS as well, and I tried to play it on the go, but to be honest, the 3DS isn't super comfortable. I mean, it's not like the Switch, where I can take it wherever I want and have it be like a full-fledged home console.
Exactly. The Switch is comfortable, both in its interface and like just the structure of it, like the physical structure of the Switch. It's comfortable to hold, whether you're just using a single Joy-Con, the Joy-Con grip, the Pro Controller. Like, and that's another thing too. Like, I'm sorry, we're jumping all over the place here. There's so much to talk about. But that's another thing I really like about the Switch, is that there's so many ways you can play, but it still remains very streamlined. If you want to use a single Joy-Con, it's super easy to do that. There's no tedious process of like, oh, like I gotta switch to just a single Joy-Con, like, or if you would just want to use the Pro Controller, like that'll work for basically anything. I love the different configurations of like how you're able to play games. And the thing that's funny about it is that the Wii U had a bunch of different ways you could play too. You could use a Wii Remote nunchuck, the gamepad, the Pro Controller. There were a bunch of different ways, but it was all very confusing. And Nintendo's done a good job of just making it simple to understand the different ways you can play the Switch.
Oh yeah, I mean, for a while there, I thought that the Joy-Cons weren't going to be super comfortable, because at the reveal, that's like, oh, that's like a fraction the size of my hand. And I don't know, you can't actually see my hands, but I have pretty big hands, and I honestly thought that the Joy-Cons were going to be very comfortable, but I've used them where I dock my Switch and then just hold on to them at the side, and it's probably the most comfortable way to play Breath of the Wild right now.
You're right though. Like, I don't have overly big hands, but the Joy-Cons, like, they are tiny. They are really small, but they really make use of the space on the Joy-Cons well, with the buttons, the analog sticks, and it's a great option for playing, Breath of the Wild or a lot of games. Now, personally, The one problem I do have with the Joy-Cons is that there is no D-pad on them, which who knows down the line Nintendo could release a Joy-Con variant with a D-pad on it. So 2D games like Spectre of Torment or Shovel Knight, or I've been playing Blaster Master recently that has 2D segments in it. There is nothing like having a good old-fashioned D-pad for games like that. Like, I cannot play Shovel Knight with an analog stick. It's just not right for me.
This doesn't feel right. I've tried to do it on my PS4 and it just doesn't feel the same.
So,
but I mean, if people are vocal about it, I'm sure that they're going to make a variant that actually has one, and that would be really nice.
Now, I think so. Here's my issue though with them releasing a Joy-Con variant. Yes, that would be awesome for having games like Shovel Knight. It would be way easier to play that game. You could play that game with a single Joy-Con if there was a D-pad on it. That would be really cool. But the thing that I'm worried about is if you start releasing all these different Joy-Con variants or different accessories, they could start to fall into that confusion that the Wii U had with its different controllers and whatnot, because there were so many, like there's the GameCube controller, again, the GameCube controller, the Wii U gamepad, the Wii remote. There's so many different controllers that for some reason worked with the Wii U. I really don't want them to fall into that that confusing snowball. Like, I really don't want them to get into that again. And who knows, like, if they market it right, if they, discuss what their plans are with these new variants, if they discuss it in the right way, in a very approachable way, it could definitely work. But I am just a slight bit concerned about that.
A little bit concerned about it too. And that, what about the people who already have a Switch? I mean, they're not really going to want to pay $60 or $80 for a brand new Joy-Con that has a D-pad on it.
Exactly.
And especially after pouring I think I put in probably about $400 now with buying the Pro Controller too. Yeah, no, like the Switch,
for if you want a Pro Controller, a Switch, the Zelda, of course, for me, obviously the Canadian dollar is a little more. I spent over $600 that day. It was, it sucked. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of broke the bank a bit. But I mean, I'm having a ton of fun. But getting back to the Joy-Con thing, you're right. For someone like us who are very much more in tune with what the Switch is and gaming news and whatnot and how the system works, I'm sure we won't have a problem with deciding what Joy-Con is best for us or what accessory is best for us. But I'm thinking a mom who bought this for their young kid. When I was waiting in line at Walmart, the guy that was behind me was buying a Switch for his 5-year-old daughter. And he knew nothing about the Switch. He just knew that it was this big new console and everyone was talking shop about it. So I was trying to inform him on okay, this is what you might want to get. If this is what your daughter's interested in, maybe she'll want this. I was really trying to just inform this guy, but he knew next to nothing. And it's people like that I'm really worried might get confused if they start announcing too many alternative options to use your Switch.
Well, I mean, it can get really confusing over time, of course, but they've been doing so well with the marketing. I mean, to be honest, it's probably way better than what they do with the Wii U.
Oh, it's leaps and bounds better than the marketing with the Wii U. No doubt whatsoever that they have learned from their mistakes with the Wii U, and they've pulled a complete 180.
Well, especially with the fact that they had a commercial with the Super Bowl. That is probably what set them over the edge.
Right?
That's what got most of the casual market into it, too.
You're totally right there. Getting a Super Bowl ad is not cheap. That is millions upon millions of dollars for a 30-second advertisement. And there was the whole thing with Target, too, with Mario Kart, where over 500 Target stores across America were just completely decked out in Mario Kart stuff, and they had the starting noise every time you open the door. Nintendo is really just getting the Switch out there, getting it in the public eye, and I really got to commend them for that.
I mean, also with the fact that they're selling out, there's tons of stories of people going crazy over the Switch, and people are like, "Oh, well, this is the next hottest console. I better go buy that."
Yeah, no, it's.
But of course, they don't know what they're talking about if they don't do any research, which I hope they do.
Now, I guess I kind of want to get back to the games for a bit, because right now we do have some really solid games on the Switch. Your two big ones, of course, are Zelda and Mario Kart, and there's tons of indie titles in there, which are super awesome. But let's talk about a bit about the games that are already confirmed for this year. So, the big first-party titles that we know about, in order of release date, are ARMS, Splatoon 2, Fire Emblem Warriors, Xenoblade 2, if it comes out this year. I don't personally think it will. And the big one, Mario Odyssey. And of course, there's some smaller stuff in there too, and some third-party stuff. We've got Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces, Skyrim's coming to the Switch, we've got Street Fighter 2 Ultimate coming out later this month. So there's some big titles. What do you think about them so far?
Well, the first-party ones, the one I'm most excited for is Splatoon 2. I got to play the, what was it, the beta or the test fire? I can't remember the name of it. Oh, the test fire. Too bad I was at my dad's house, though, so I had kind of poor Wi-Fi. But from what I played of it, it is probably one of the best shooters, if not, I think it's the only shooter right now to actually be on the Switch. It's a third-party one, and of course, it's not really marketed towards someone my age, but it's probably one of the best games that I've played in a long time.
You know what? So, funny story with the Splatoon test fire for me is I was really busy with work that weekend on the Friday and the Saturday. Didn't get to play it. And then on the Sunday, I was like, sweet, all right, I'm going to play some Splatoon. I'm going to wake up early. Like, I had to get up for like 8 a.m. for it. I was like, okay, let's play some Splatoon. This is going to be awesome. And that was just the day that my internet decided to completely crap the bed. Like, every time I got into a match, I played for maybe 20 seconds. So what I played was definitely Splatoon. It was fun, but just based on the fact, like, I absolutely adored the original Splatoon. That's one of my favorite Wii U games. It's one of my favorite Nintendo games in a very long time. Splatoon 2 is definitely going to be a big one.
It's a really nice game.
Yeah. Like,
that's probably one of the...
Sorry, go on.
You're saying? I was just going to say that Splatoon is probably one of their best games at the moment. Like, my girlfriend had actually gone out, bought a Wii U just to play Splatoon.
Oh yeah, like the Splatoon was definitely a system seller for the Wii U, and I think it actually sold better than Smash Wii U. Now, granted, we got Smash 3DS before that, and a lot of people bought it on there and thought, oh well, I don't need the second game. I don't need the same version of the game on Wii U. Well, somewhat similar version. They're very different. We know that, but. Splatoon is a big deal. Splatoon is going to be really big, and releasing it during the summer, during July, that's perfect. Get it on people's consoles when no one's in school, when it's, lots of people have more free time usually in the summer. I mean, sometimes not us adults who have jobs and whatnot, but I think summer is a perfect time for that. And getting ARMS out before Splatoon, I think, is key. Because ARMS is a bit of a weird one, because it's another new IP from Nintendo. But I don't think it's had that big following that Splatoon had before its release. Because ARMS, like, it looks cool, and they're doing a lot of great world building, a lot of lore building, and they're showing off lots of good stuff, but we still don't know that much about ARMS. And if it came after Splatoon, I think it might get buried in Splatoon. But the fact that it's launching before Splatoon, actually right at the end of E3, which is kind of cool, I think that's definitely a good idea.
That's even better. I mean, I didn't know that it was launching after E3.
Yeah, it's literally like the last day of E3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be perfect for them then. Because they could probably hype it up like a few days beforehand, and then people are like, oh, okay, this game looks really awesome. Like, to be honest, that's one of the many reasons why I actually went and got a Switch so early.
Yeah. If Nintendo... That's another thing I guess we can talk about real quick, is E3 this year. Are you psyched for E3?
Oh, of course, every year.
See, that's the thing. Like, the last 2 years for E3... So 2015, I went into E3 really, really stoked. And was just super let down. That was not a good year for Nintendo. Let's not talk about it, though. 2016, I went in feeling concerned. I was really scared for Nintendo, because they were only bringing, seemingly, Breath of the Wild to the show, which... I knew Zelda was going to be good. Like, I was definitely excited for Zelda, but I was concerned. I was like, what are you guys doing? You're only bringing one game to the show? And it turned out to be the right idea. They really kicked it out of the park. 2017, though, the momentum is with Nintendo. Nintendo has got a lot going for them. They've already proved themselves with the Switch. They are back. Nintendo is back in action, and E3 is going to be the time to really sell people who might not be convinced on the Switch yet.
I hope they understand that too.
Yeah,
because they could do like something super crazy at E3 and probably make so many different, so many new sales. And then not only that, but there's Mario Odyssey coming out this holiday.
Yeah, there's a bunch of games that are already coming out, like that we've been talking about a little bit, like Mario, like Xenoblade, like Fire Emblem Warriors. Those are all really big games, and they all hit very different markets. They all hit very different different audiences with some overlap, of course. I don't care that much about Fire Emblem Warriors, but of course Mario Odyssey, like that's the game that I'm most excited for right now. Of course, they're going to have lots to show with those games, and they'll probably all be playable at E3. But there's so much left to like announce. Like what's Retro Studios been working on? They haven't released anything since Tropical Freeze back in 2014. They've got to be working on something big. You know, what's going on with Smash Brothers? When's that going to come to the Switch? What's going on with this Mario and Rabbids RPG? E3 has the potential to be huge, and that is something that I'm really, really excited for with Nintendo this year.
The main thing that I'm excited for is a new Smash Bros. Game. Like, to be honest, that's what I think of when I hear Nintendo. There's the Marios, there's the Donkey Kongs, there's the Legend of Zeldas, but the thing that I'm most excited for is Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, like Smash Brothers, like, again, I'm right with you there. That is one of my... I can't say I'm that excited for it yet just because we don't have it officially confirmed, but the rumors seem to be kind of leading in that direction where, yes, it is coming to the Switch. It's going to be on the Switch fairly soon. Personally, I don't think it'll be on the Switch till 2017. And I guess that kind of gets into another point that I wanted to bring up, is that, yeah, Nintendo's got Zelda already out this year. They've got Mario Kart already out this year. We've got a 3D Mario coming out later this year. What I'm worried about is Nintendo blowing through their big IPs too fast. Because what if, for example, so we're getting Zelda, we got Zelda this year, we got Mario Kart, we're getting Splatoon, we're getting ARMS, their new big IP, we're getting Mario, Fire Emblem twice, and, well, I guess 3 times if you count the mobile game, and we're getting Xenoblade. Those are all really big franchises from Nintendo, and I'm sure there's more coming this year, you know, in that fall time slot. I think there's going to be more coming out this year. What if by the end of 2018, we've already got, like, Metroid, we've got Smash Brothers, we've got Pikmin, like, what if we have all these other big IPs? Animal Crossing! Like, what if all those big IPs come out by the end of 2018? What's Nintendo going to do? Are they going to have more stuff to come? Like, it's kind of hard to believe that, but yeah.
I hope they don't put them out, like, too soon together. Like, if you release multiple AAA games at once, it's going to be bad for the console. Now, it probably won't be at, like, to a regular consumer, it won't be like, oh, they're just releasing their games, it's fine, but over time, it's going to hurt the sales.
Yeah, like, you're totally right. And Nintendo has done a fairly good job of that so far. I think this year they've spaced out their big titles, you know, as good as I think they can. Of course, I think that there's still more to be, you know, announced. I think that we're still going to get more games, potentially really big ones coming out later this year that we find out about at E3. Like, again, I mentioned Pikmin. Pikmin 4, Miyamoto said, like, a year and a half ago was basically done, and it was planned for the Wii U, and we haven't seen anything of it. And no, I don't think that Pikmin 3DS game, Hey Pikmin, that is definitely not Pikmin 4. I think it is something that has been moved to the Switch. Like, that's another one that could come out this year where it's, you know, it's a big first-party title, but it's not a mass appeal title like Mario Kart might be.
Oh yeah, of course. It's for our niche audience, but with that being said, there's tons of people that would still go out and buy that, or just Switch for that game alone.
Yeah, like, I would. I loved
Legend of Zelda.
I loved Pikmin 3. But yeah, like, overall, like, the Switch really does, it's proved itself. It's really got some good games on it. It has some, you know, quality of life things that could maybe be fixed in, like, an update or a patch or whatnot with, you know, like the internet issues, this is another thing we didn't...
Oh yeah, of course.
This is another thing we really didn't talk about, is the home screen itself. Now, people have been complaining about it being bland. You know, there's no music, there's no themes or backgrounds yet. I guess they're coming later. But I actually don't mind it, because the Switch is so efficient and so fast when you're switching games, or selecting a game or going into a menu. I don't really need music, because I don't spend that much time on the home screen itself.
Yeah, I honestly think the same way, and I just like to go by something that one of my friends told me. Since I do a lot of graphic design work, of course we, God, it's really hard to explain, but basically what I'm trying to say is less is more.
Yeah, like if you have it too cluttered or too, if it's too, I don't know, yeah, just cluttered, it's gonna come across as inefficient or like unsightly. And I think the home screen, like, it's functional, it works, and I really don't have a problem with it.
And it's surprisingly fast too. Like you mentioned, it's really fast. Like I honestly didn't expect it to boot up games as quick as it does.
Like, yeah, no, it's ridiculously fast. Like, you can get into a game, like, you can start playing Breath of the Wild like 30 seconds from the home screen. Or if you want to switch games, you press the home button, literally, you are immediately on the home screen. Like, not even half a second. It's crazy.
And with playing on the PS4, like I kind of play PC and PS4 more than I do Nintendo consoles. And with how clunky those are, I was kind of expecting that from Nintendo. And to be honest, it's kind of crazy that it's as nice as it is. I mean, it does. There is some pet peeves, of course. There's a lot less functional or a lot less functions that you can do with it. But like I said, less is more, and you don't want it to be too cluttered because then that overwhelms a lot of people.
And there isn't as much as you can do on the PS4. For example, we don't have Netflix on there yet. Of course, stuff like that is coming. Streaming services like that are coming. And I'm sure there's more features coming to the console. But the Switch, in my opinion, successfully does what it set out to be: a console and handheld hybrid that plays HD games. Like,
well, I think not to cut you off, but I don't think they wanted to put streaming in there just yet because they didn't want it to be a second Xbox. Like when the Xbox launched, they talked about more of what their services are rather than what their games are.
Yeah, and that was an embarrassment. I remember that E3. That was not good. But I think you're right. Where it's like, I think it was good to hold off on Netflix and YouTube and whatnot, like, to be on the Switch at first, because they really wanted to market this just as a gaming console. And it's that. It is a gaming console. It is a system used primarily to play video games. And Nintendo has really communicated that well, and the Switch delivers on that function very well.
Oh yeah, it's really seamless. How you can go from portable to home consoles. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's crazy how fast you could do that. It blew my mind. Like, oh, there's no way Nintendo could do that right.
No.
And then when I started playing it, it is perfect.
Yeah, no, they completely have nailed it. That's all I really had to say. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
Well, more of a pet peeve of mine is with Breath of the Wild. I mean, the amiibo is nice and all, but when trying to find those amiibo, it is super hard to get some of the content that's locked away by it. Of course, most of it is cosmetic, but with some of the weapons, I don't have all the weapons yet, and I just don't want to pay $60 for an amiibo that can give me the Ocarina of Time costume.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous how they didn't put it in a second option, because they should have known that these amiibo are going to disappear. Like, I've literally only seen one Ocarina of Time Link, and I didn't pick it up because I thought that, oh, it's going to be there the next day. It was gone within the minute.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point, just Amiibo as a whole, because Nintendo, of course, are still going to be using Amiibo throughout the Switch. We've already seen it with Breath of the Wild. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is compatible with Amiibo. The future of Amiibo, because it's still something that Nintendo seems to be pushing with their games. Do you really think that Nintendo's going to get their poop in a group with the Amiibo this generation?
I seriously hope so. I mean, with how much content is locked away in Breath of the Wild, by just having to get the amiibo, I seriously hope that they do. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I hate the amiibo, because I have the entire Breath of the Wild set, since they're all at Target, and I was just like, why not? But some of the more harder to find ones, like, to be honest, the one I wanted the most was the Smash Brothers Link, because you get Epona out of it.
Yeah, I was lucky.
A ton of people that want that one.
I was lucky to get that one a little while ago. Like, at first I was like, oh, I'll just get Link because it's Link. But now that I found out that, yeah, you get Epona in Breath of the Wild, that's one of the most valuable Zelda amiibos now all of a sudden. But yeah, I definitely hope that Nintendo gets it together with the amiibo. I don't think they will. I think it's going to stay to pretty much the way it is, you know, locking extra content behind them. I mean, prove me wrong. Nintendo, prove me wrong. Like, by all means, prove me wrong. But I really don't think that it's going to be a big focus for them. I really think they're going to be focusing on the games first, the Switch itself. I think amiibos are just kind of a thing that, you know, if you have one, you can unlock this cool costume, or you can unlock this cool, like, stage or whatever. Like, I really don't see, at least in the foreseeable future, amiibos being made to the best of their ability. But I'd love to be wrong.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, like, not having to worry about having a second figure, or like just a little figure that's going to cost me more than a Switch game just to get a costume. I mean, like, of course it is very optional, but in Breath of the Wild you can get certain weapons from past Legend of Zelda games. Like with the Zelda amiibo, you can get the Twilight Bow, which I've actually been lucky and used a friend's amiibo and gotten on the first try.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a little frustrating in Breath of the Wild because I scan my amiibos every day hoping for that new piece of gear or like that new weapon or whatever, but alas, I'm just getting fish and fruit and whatnot. But that, again, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
That was pretty much it. I've been more or less focused on the amiibo because just trying to find them it's just a pain in itself.
Yeah, they are definitely. That's another thing that Nintendo really needs to get together, both with their Switch and the amiibo, is just get their supplies up. Nintendo has been really bad about keeping stock with stuff, and it is something that I hope that continues with the future. But I think that's all from us, guys. Overall, again, just final thoughts. The Switch is a great system. It's really easy to use. It's really simple to understand. There's a great library of games on there. There's some slight concerns with the system and going forward, but there's also just so much more to look forward to that outweighs the negatives. So, yeah.
One more thing that I'd like to mention is they are hitting it big with the mods that people are doing to their console. Like, I know that they don't really like it, but with what people do with the dock, it is insane. I don't know if you've seen what one YouTuber has done, but he actually put a dock inside of a Legend of Zelda cart for the NES.
I actually did see that. That was really crazy. The Switch has just really taken over the whole like Nintendo culture, I guess.
So they're getting it into the limelight, and it's perfect.
Yeah, Nintendo has just really, just not the console itself, but like the marketing, like the exposure. Nintendo has really, intentionally or non-intentionally, really just gotten it into the public eye. But I think that's all from us. Where can the people find you at?
They could find me on Pixel Entertainment. There's going to be like a few more people working with me as well. I've got some friends trying to make some videos. So more than just me being on there, but if you want to throw like a link in the description or something like that, that would really help out.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I will leave that there. So thank you guys, of course, for joining us. If you like this video, please leave a like and talk in the comments. What are your general thoughts about the Switch so far? Do you like it? Dislike it? What are some things you're excited for, concerned about? All that stuff. We want to hear from you guys. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and follow me on Twitter if you enjoyed as well. Links for those are in the description of this video. And check out Pixel Entertainment. Alright, see you later, guys. Bye.